it's great to hear the comments. I'm going to stick around a little bit more because the last time I stuck around and listened to what people had to say, not so much about the show, but about themselves, I was very moved. And I don't know if you're going to do that today or not, but I'd like to stick around and hear that as well.
You're always welcome. Open house for you, Armin, anytime.
Thank you.
All right, we have a birthday tomorrow, and that's Tal.
Hi, yeah.
Wow, happy birthday for tomorrow. I think we're going to have to record and edit all the happy birthdays because they're so joyful.
Yeah. It's always really fun when everyone comes off mute.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where are you? What's going on?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
So things are going pretty well here. I was literally over the last month being like, am I going to do a Zoom party for my birthday, or will I do an actual event with people, or like, what am I going to do? And I was watching the numbers go lower and lower, and now we're at 0 in the state, and I'm like really happy about it.
Wow.
Oh,
that's phenomenal. I mean, there's a few Melbourneians in
Australia has been incredible with the COVID.
Yeah, because my state, Victoria, we were one of the worst in the country, and because we did like a hard lockdown, it took twice as long as the first, because I was watching the daily cases and the cumulative cases, and the first peak was quite low, and the second peak was like way higher, and it took twice as long to tackle, but we got it down to 0. So like, yeah,
is huge.
And there's definitely like geography and infrastructure and like support and all kinds of factors. Like, it's not just people doing the right thing and staying home. It's like all these other factors that helped, really.
Wow. You guys just got it together. You got it right.
And hopefully, and my state was the worst. So
yeah.
Oh
my goodness.
Yeah.
And are you back at work and everything? And you just going?
I
really
literally
normal
1 year ago, I graduated uni, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start doing gigs. I'm gonna start like trying to do some student films. It'll be fun. And then COVID happened, and I was like, well.
Oh. So you're a filmmaker.
So I like to edit. I like to write. I do whatever I can. I do lights.
I've seen you before with Randy.
Yeah.
That's you. I didn't recognize you because of all the makeup and you were the
and my hair was like up, so like you can't tell how much there was.
You were dancing. You were a nurse, or I think were you a nurse, or
I was wearing the medical, like the science blues, and but it was like glittery because Randy made it, and it was really fun.
It's brilliant. Well, it's lovely to see the other you.
Yeah, my normal face. Yeah.
Oh, so you thank you because you've done some of the editing on the editing we've been talking about tonight, haven't you?
Yeah, because I was like, I'm going to jump at every opportunity. I've been doing like a lot of online stuff when possible. So
yeah, how's that going?
And I love these. So like I was like, oh, the call is out for editors. Yeah, of course I'm going to apply.
How do you do it? Do you have to sit through every one again? I mean, every thing, and just do interesting bits?
Usually I do like one normal watch, and then as I'm watching, I'll like use there's like a little tab you can put in as a marker, and I'm just like, oh yeah, mark off the beginning and the end of each thing, or like I put a little cut there so that when Mel very, very kindly sends me the notes, I can like look at where my timing things are and just immediately move or remove or whatever.
And slam it all together.
Yeah, and then a lot of like overlapping people talking to cut out weird transitions and stuff.
Yeah,
It goes quicker. Yeah.
And are they edits of the play or of the chats?
I've done both, some of the plays and some of the chats. I did the Halloween chat actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So is that already out?
Yeah, it's on the channel. I keep making different accounts so that I can upload them places because it's easier. Oh my gosh.
I used to really want to, because I keep out of all of that if I possibly can. But I really suppressed the temptation in the early days to tell Mel to go, well, because I know we do 4 hours of chat a week. and just say, well, just whittle it down to 15 exciting minutes. And then I remembered myself and went, actually, the longer and the more complete it is, the better it is. No matter how tedious it might be for some people, because of just such an accurate archive.
Yeah, and the wonderful thing about all these conversations is that because everyone goes into depth in the way they do, because it's a normal conversation, it's almost like a podcast where people are more comfortable with a longer format, because it's not like a structured TV show where you have ad breaks and scheduling and like all of that. You can have these really wonderful natural conversations, and you're only really editing it down for like convenience rather than, you know, something artificial. And that's, you know, a very specific thing, but it's really nice that you can like let people speak. and not being like, okay, we have to do an ad break now, here's our sponsor.
It is nice.
You know,
it's really lovely.
Yeah.
And are you back with your friends, and are you allowed to do that yet, or are you still?
I'm allowed to, but I'm also like, I made myself a promise where I was going to wait a good week and a half after we got to 0 before I did anything with more than like 2 people. It's for my own peace of mind. That's not like a government thing. That's just me.
And you're a friend of Randy's, aren't you? You're a real life friend. You met before the social group and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
You're part of that your fun community there.
Yeah, we met at a flash mob one time in the city. That was fun. And we've just been hanging out ever since, in like our big group of people. All my friends are so creative and like wonderful. So yeah, not to say that I'm not, because like I draw as well as edit. Like I try and, you know, have a few creative hobbies, especially this
where
year.
are you aiming? Where are you aiming at? I mean, life will take you wherever it pleases, frankly. But where would you like it to take you if you had a choice?
What I realized going back to uni and studying film and theater is that I love collaborating with people. Like I can have creative ideas of my own, but I love to like help other people make their ideas happen. And so I would just love to work, especially in like independent film and independent theater, because I feel like that's the place where you get lots of really exciting ideas and the actual new voices and up and coming, and like it's way more interesting to me at this point.
Yeah.
And there's just like a lot that you can do that you wouldn't be able to get in a more like the big theaters. And it's not like I'm going to get hired by them anytime soon anyway, so it's a good idea to like really specialize, I think.
Where do you think theater's going? I'm curious, because what's exciting you about the movement in theater? Where are we headed right now? Because I am so out of touch. Armin might be in touch.
You know, most of my theater experience is either I go to see it or I did it at uni, or what I'm doing online, which like about a year ago, I watched a Twitch stream where someone was just reading Shakespeare out of, you know, a book with some friends calling over Discord, like no webcams, just like one camera, and then that's it. So it was like even less than these Zoom calls.
Yeah.
And that was a year ago before COVID. That was for a charity thing. And that inspired some people in the chat to go do a like their own theater thing where everyone does like public domain plays, and it's completely audio only. Yeah. And everyone's cold reading. So you get some really funny moments where people are like realizing partway through that something's about to happen that they need to adjust for with their character. So like I've been doing that, and that's really fun. And I really enjoy those sorts of theater things where it's pushing the genre a little bit away from like, because everyone in theater loves, you know, getting to freak the audience out a little and like break down those barriers. Yeah. But I think you can do more than just be like, we're going to seat some audience members on stage.
Yeah.
You know, like you can do more than that in some really interesting ways.
And do you discern any movement in Australia, in Melbourne particularly, that you're like, this is actually becoming a movement. This is actually something that theatre is evolving into here in this little town.
I mean, because the way that the government is giving out grants for the arts has changed so dramatically in the last few years. Since I joined uni, they had already been doing cuts to the arts. And so what you're getting is a real like tightening of people supporting each other, and that's where the interesting stuff is happening to me. Because it's just, I don't know, I find it more interesting than like, oh, what musical's coming to town, because I love musicals, but like you know,
No,
that's
I'm genuinely professionally curious, and I'm genuinely
Yeah.
out of touch. I mean, I know that in London a few years ago there was a big fad for hiring whole spaces, you know, houses, and having audience walk around the house, and for the
yeah, I
everywhere.
heard about a production of Dracula that was going to be like that in the UK, actually, right before lockdown happened. Yeah. Which is really cool, because it was the one I heard about that was going to happen in the UK was shaped by who the audience follows. And I've heard about a little bit of that happening around here, but instead of indoors, it's outdoors, and like an outdoor production where, depending on which cast member the audience is like following around, they get a different perspective on the narrative, which is really cool.
Because I again, just exposing probably my ignorance, but isn't it, because when I was studying theatre, you know, very, very intently when I was at acting school, for example, I read about movement after movement. I mean, real sincere, you know, academic, really, movements in theatre, whether it was the theatre of the absurd, you know, whether or not it was the Lecoq stuff coming out of France, and there was a, you know, a lot of the Polish stuff and the Russian stuff, which changed theatre fundamentally. And I wonder what if you noticed that when there was a last moment that the tectonic plates shifted a bit, and the theatre might be changing, evolving, doing something.
I mean, my academic knowledge of theatre is really limited, because it's just like something I enjoy, and I got into the like the behind the scenes stuff more than the I did some performance classes, but that's like so I could have perspective. And so like I'm not really well informed about it. I just know that I personally took an interest in the breakdown between genre and medium, especially with theater, and like how cool I find ARGs, and how ARGs, because they involve the audience in a way that traditional film doesn't. It gets.
What is an ARG? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, alternate reality game.
Okay, thank you.
Think of it like those viral marketing campaigns for movies where they have a website that's like an in-universe website where you can like interact with the narrative of the story as if it's real life. And there's different levels of how much the audience can interact and reveal and shape information, and feel like they're a part of it. Like I went to a friend's theater piece that they did where it was like one part environmental thing where you go around this building, and each room has like a different set, and the actors in the room are in character. They had paper on the walls with like information and letters and stuff, and it's like, what if those like epistolary pieces were actually digital like we are now, you know? Like that's what's cool to me.
So there's real possibilities with this Zoom, this new technology, this impersonal technology that may be very interesting, because if anything that's sort of a disability can be exploited to really enhance our experience of how life works and what's going on, and as long as you pick the right subject and really go, you know, all the way.
Zoom is like so fascinating because it came out of nowhere almost, because everyone you say, oh, I'll Skype you, and then you open up Zoom, like it has the feature of, oh, you have a gallery view where you can see everybody, and the overlapping speech is really good, and you have like the chat in the sidebar, and the way that it lets you record internally is really good for like popping it up on YouTube or whatever, even with like no editing, if you wanted to. And just making things accessible encourages art so much. And I'm like a big believer in that. So yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sorry if I'm like a little aimless with my thoughts here, because like
not at all.
Like I said, I graduated last year, so it's like I haven't been able to do a lot yet.
You are totally coherent, actually. You're nothing remotely aimless about what you're saying. I'm following every word. I'm the one who's a bit aimless, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on in theatre right now, and I'm an actor. What's wrong with me? How do I not know what's happening?
This is what's happening. Zoom and COVID are creating this. You asked for a seismic change. This is the change.
A new space, a new theatre space, which is now got to be exploited. And I think that out there somewhere is just the most amazing and interesting way of exploiting this particular space. The impersonal nature of it, which seems so abhorrent to us, could be its strength.
Right. Artists are learning to deal with this and come up with creative ideas. She is absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah. Tao, awesome. I mean, I think we've got to between us, some of us, we can come up with some really interesting stuff for this particular medium that is kind of on the edge of something and entertaining and you know, making comfortable people uncomfortable and uncomfortable people comfortable. You know.
Yeah, always. Oh man, some of the most, everyone's like, oh, there's a lot of discussion of like, oh, can you do anything socially or politically with comedy, for example, as like a factor of art? But like, yeah, the answer is always yes. It's just, it might not be direct or immediate change, but there's always, you know, something there.
Yeah. And do you think you're gonna be editing? You think, or you can be producing, a director, writing? All of it?
I don't write much. I like to know about writing, and I like to know about characterization and acting, because I think that like it makes it better for whatever task you do to know what everyone else is doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah.
On a technical
it's very
level.
good advice to actually take if you have anyone around it, and the freer the better, the cheaper the better, to take some acting classes and to do some formal acting. Because if you know how all that bit works, you really, it's like a painter kind of begins to understand the nature of their color.
I did like an acting class at uni, and what was really fascinating was they were like, okay, here's a character exercise where you're gonna have to practice your voice and your posture and like embodying the character on like a technical level. And then the way I was approaching it was like I was writing the character, where I was like, okay, well, if I were writing what they were doing, how would they stand? How would I describe it? Like, I thought about the body language and the voice from a visual and writing perspective before I thought about it from a how am I going to perform it perspective.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
It is. It's because you're in a really responsible position when you're dealing with actors and what they're going through, and how to be, you know, you treat them as precious. What they're giving you is really precious, because it's easy to take it for granted. And then you can really unlock some of the potential, the vast potential of an actor, not in getting in their own way and actually performing for you. What we were talking about in another Zoom chat, the flow state, and Nana likes to talk about that because she's very excited about the neurological implications of what we're all doing today.
I think I missed that one. So was the flow state that thing where you kind of like you click into a way of thinking where it becomes like you don't have to think about it, right?
Yes,
is that it?
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's a similar thing talking about like art in general. So that's why I was like, oh, I think I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens across all areas. I mean, nurses even can get into a flow state. They just are doing things as if and doing them very well without stopping to worry or think or discuss anything with themselves.
That's when I know I've warmed up when I'm drawing. It's when I'm like, oh, I don't even have to like stress about it anymore. It's just automatic.
Yeah, it's a kind of meditation. It's the kind of reward for meditation. It's not really the meditation itself. But it certainly is a reward for doing that. And it's Armin, you know, who's a stage actor primarily, obviously a movie actor as well, but he will know more than anybody about making that first step on the stage and then trusting your body and your system to take over from there on out. And all you have to do is concentrate on staying, you know, in the lane so that you don't wander out of it.
I'm so impressed by how you guys as actors switch from like one medium to another with your performances, whether it be stage to screen or whatever. Because theater acting, like when you learn to sing, they're like, oh, project big expressions. They have to see you from the back of the audience. And then you can't do that when you're on TV or when you're on film, because it's all about the small stuff. And I'm so impressed by that switch that you guys have to do. It's really, really cool.
I think it's like different as playing football and hockey.
Yeah, I
think they're all sports, but being on stage and being on film are completely different career paths. And only some people like Armin are sort of bilingual. They can do both. But very few actors can do both to any at the high level that Armin is.
It is like being a mechanic. You know what pliers and wrench to use. You don't get a huge pliers for something that only needs a needle nose pliers, and you learn what's right. And the best way to do it is just what's happening here is to watch, see what you've done, go back, analyze, go back, polish. It's a lot like writing. It's a lot like writing. But what you suggested, Tal, about coming at it from the voice, from the posture, I think a lot of people do that. And then having, that's a good place to start. And then you begin to think, as Andy did in his book, he begins to write about what the background, what the backstory is. And then everything comes together. And eventually you come to that flow state. You come to that place where you're not thinking about it. All the homework you've done kicks in, and there you are.
I think that's really cool. I think that's very exciting, Tal. I hope that you can find your crew, your group, and run with them. That you need, really, absolutely need, like Randy and you. You need collaborators. You need people you know who are free, who just love it because they love it. And that's your learning ground, and that's where you try your craziest ideas out.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons that I'm friends with the people I'm friends with is that they're all following their passions so directly and so well, and I just really respect, because it is hard work to just do what you enjoy. And I feel like, because there's that thing where it's like, oh, if you do what you love, you won't work. But it's like, no, you'll work, but because you love it, it doesn't matter, because it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it because you probably won't get paid very much, and you better enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, but who's getting paid well in these days anyway?
That's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you're not hurting anyone,
Absolutely.
How are you doing?
You're very good indeed. You're in Greece, aren't you?
Yes, right.
I remember you from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Well, it's pretty much the same, I guess. We were supposed to, well, the lockdown was supposed to end today, but they are extending it for 1 more week. Who believes them, though, it may last forever.
Yeah.
Well, the cases are still pretty much the same. There's some pressure with the hospitals. Well, I think we're handling well regarding other countries, though.
Yeah.
But it's still a big stress for everyone.
Are you at home right now?
Yes, I'm at home.
And are you living with your family, or are you living with by yourself?
No, I live alone.
You live alone, and how's that working out? Because this is months now.
Well, it hasn't affected me that much because you see, I was one from those who actually realized that their way of living is called quarantine for the rest of the people.
Okay.
So nothing much has changed regarding that. I think the difficult part was to just watch what is going on in the entire world right now, and just being able to cope with all that and just handle it somehow.
So you're very comfortable being alone, and you're very comfortable just in your bubble, as it were.
Well, sometimes I'm not, but I think it's better to be alone than being with people you don't want to be with.
Oh, for sure. Hello. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. My parents, for instance, I couldn't stand my parents during lockdown.
No, that's awful. Oh my goodness. Well, tell me a bit about your parents.
Oh, I don't know what to tell you about my parents.
How come you can't stand them? You can't. No, I misunderstood. You couldn't stand living with them. You can stand your parents. You just couldn't bear living with them. That would be difficult. It would be difficult.
I guess it's a bit of both. I don't know. I always had trouble with my mother. I just we never get along, and it's a relationship that I'm trying to fix over the years.
Good. I'm really glad you're trying to fix it.
Yeah, but she's just starting, taking some steps forward, but it's been really a long time, and there's a lot of damage being done that I have to fix.
Yeah. Do you have brothers and sisters as well?
Yeah, I have a brother.
Yeah.
He lives in New York.
He's in New York. You did mention that to me last time.
Yes, during the elections.
Yeah, that's right. Gosh, And you get on well with him, don't you?
We don't talk that much, so I guess yes, we get well.
Yeah. Boy, this is a particularly tough COVID for you. It's not as if COVID happens every 3 years, so it's not different. This one's really hard. The last one was great. Well, how do you eat? How do you make sure you look after yourself? Do you go out shopping? Do you buy groceries and you cook them? Do you have a routine? Because I worry about people who live alone. Because when I'm alone, I don't cook. I don't bother. It's like, well, it's just me. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't really love cooking. I'm not really good at it either.
Yeah.
So I don't really cook. I just cook the basic stuff that is just so that I have to eat something, you know.
So you have similar meals again and again and again because they're just easy to do and you get it done.
Yeah, there's something like that. I just try to, you know, just take some.
What are you looking forward to? What's the thing you're looking forward to doing again that you haven't maybe done for a long time?
I guess to go to the cinema and to meet my friends. But you see, my friends don't live in the same town as me, so I already missed my friends.
Yeah, and where you live in? Was it Sparta? Did you say?
No, it's in Athens. My parents live close.
Athens, that's right. Your parents live in Sparta.
Yeah.
Yeah, my memory is weirdly okay, but given
it's perfect regarding all these people you're talking to.
Got a lot of people. And have you ever seen? What sort of films do you have a genre of film that you like more than another? Do you like
I pretty much watch everything. Well, I used to watch everything, literally everything, but now I just, you know, it feels like I don't have the attention span for it. It just worked me out. Yeah. Basically, the things I watched right now is Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, it's a far cry from Star Trek, but one of my favorite films, and I talked about it when we first started this Zoom, way back when, is a film by Alexander Klimov called Come and See. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who weren't here then, so I'm telling you now. It's it's for my money, the finest war film ever made. And it's Byelorussian. We're going to be reading in the movie, unless you speak Byelorussian or Russian. I'm not quite sure what they're speaking in it because I don't understand either.
I want to learn Russian, so it's good.
Well, this is a good one to learn it with. This is a really good one, but it's just a very beautiful, quite difficult in places film. But it's about war, but there's not a lot of soldiers running around. It's a war film that just gives you a sense of what people go through when that sort of thing happens. And one of the things that's most surprising about it is there's a lot of time when nothing happens. They just talk, you know. But I highly recommend it if you like to watch films in the evening. I'm sure it's on YouTube by now because it's not a fancy film, not Hollywood. Right?
How was the title again? I'm sorry.
Come and See.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Yep, good. On your paper.
On my hand.
On your notepad.
All right, I'll check that.
Yeah, Klimov. Alexander Klimov. I never got to meet him. I went to Russia and I went to a film festival there and I just said, can you find Klimov? No one could find Klimov for me because I'd love to tell him how amazing he was. Well, I just want to make sure that you're happy, really. We got to make sure.
Well, that's a difficult word.
It's a difficult word, but it's actually not a difficult word. It's weirdly easy as well as difficult. It's I don't have a plan, but I know that when I'm unhappy, I get to happiness without really thinking about it. Just sort of, oh, there you are. I missed you.
It's weird. It's all very weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It is, but it's what we've got, and I think it's going to be around for a couple more months. So let's snuggle down and be ready for more of the same. I suspect that early summer next year, maybe we'll be in good shape.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? This thing's confounding us everywhere, every which way. But hopefully, I'm thinking early summer. That's my positive outlook. How are you earning money? How are you making a living?
Well, I'm not really earning money right now. I'm still in university.
So do you need money for university, or do the government pay?
Yeah, it's public. It's public. University is public.
And so you can just get by with what you've got.
Well, yes, I've basically left my my university is in another city, and I had to leave my apartment because I couldn't afford it really.
Yeah.
So I left, and now I am continuing my studies from distance. I've basically finished with my courses. I just have one last thing to do to get my degree, which is my
Oh,
dissertation. I just
right. And you're doing that at home?
well, right now I'm doing absolutely nothing because last semester I basically I thought maybe I should take a break.
Yeah. You must. You absolutely must. You know more about yourself than anyone else does. And do you have someone you can call when you have a panic attack? Someone who a comforting voice?
No, not really.
Oh, I'm sorry, because that's really what I think. That's one of the helpful things is there's someone who knows, who's familiar with what's happening to you, because people just don't understand panic attacks. Well, often people don't understand panic attacks. I don't know. I wish you find. I hope you find someone who you can who knows you and you can talk to about those things, like your brother or something.
I'm sorry, I just my English broke.
You're doing great, by the way. You're speaking in another language right now.
I'm trying.
Doing very well.
Yeah, no, just want to thank you for everything that you're doing here in this club, because it really means a lot.
Thank you.
For everyone, I guess, not just for me. And I just want to thank Mel because she's doing all this, and it's incredible.
Mel does all the heavy lifting.
It's just so therapeutic to, just to listen to other people, what they have to say from all around the world, and it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
I can't even put it into words.
Come back and talk to us. Come back and listen. Use us like a radio show.
Yeah, I listen a lot. I like to listen to what other people have to say, because just sometimes you just have to listen. Yeah. And I think we forget that.
Well, it's lovely talking to you again, and hopefully see you in the next week.